This is the Mini Clubman John Cooper Works, and it is the most powerful Mini to have ever landed in Australia, with the brand fitting that screaming engine from the BMW M135i under that bonnet to create what it's calling its hottest hatch to date. Now, while it might certainly be hot, we might be stretching the term hatch just a little bit, with this thing over 4.2 meters in length, making it considerably bigger than the three-door hatch we've come to know and love. Now, while it might not be that mini, it promises to be both practical and fast, and that sounds like a winning combination to us. So let's go check it out. But first, for the full scoop on the Mini Clubman JCW, head to the carsguide.com.au website to read my full review. And if you want to stay on top of all of our latest videos, you need to hit subscribe. So please, please do that now. The Clubman JCW is the first Mini to be offered in a paired back pure trim, which will set you back just under 58 grand, with the range then stepping up to the regular Clubman, which will cost you an extra 5 grand. The Pure buys you 18-inch alloys, adaptive suspension, roof rails and LED head and tail lights, while inside you can expect cloth sport seats, an 8.8-inch screen that's both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto equipped, standard navigation, climate control with rear vents and push-button start. But shelling out the extra 5k adds 19-inch alloys, leather seats, a 12-speaker Harman Kardon stereo, a head-up display and heated front seats. Now, it's also worth pointing out here that the Clubman is super practical. For a Mini, this is not a Bunnings Bandit, nor will you be piling endless IKEA flat packs into the boot. Still, step around to the barn door style boot and you'll find a usable 360 litres of luggage space with the rear seats in place. It's all pretty familiar Mini in here, right? What with the circle screens and the jet style switches, but this is actually the Pure trim, which is a new direction for the brand, and it's designed to kind of simplify that buying process, really cutting down your options. So if you go into a dealership and you ask for a Pure, you can only have 4 exterior colors, 2 wheel choices, and this is the only interior you can get, this black on black treatment. But it remains a stylish space in here. It feels really well put together. There's a nice mix of materials, and this screen in front of me has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto too. But it's not all good news in here. I gotta say, I do feel like they favored style over substance a little bit. It's not the most user-friendly cabin. There are a lot of buttons, a lot of switches. This screen's quite difficult to use. It just doesn't feel all that user-friendly. Now, why would you buy a Clubman over the hatch? For the back seat. See, this clever design of the seat in front of me means I've got plenty of knee room, I've got enough headroom too, and I can tell you, you could genuinely fit 2 adults back here in comfort, though you'd never put a third one in the middle. That would be cruel and unusual punishment. There's also 2 ISOFIX attachment seats for back seat riders, and they get their own vents and USB charge points too. Under the bonnet lurks BMW's twin-charged 2-litre 4-cylinder weapon that sends 225 kilowatts and 450 newton meters thundering to all 4 tyres. Now, that power is funneled through an 8-speed automatic transmission, and it really is enough to make this Clubman JCW properly rapid. Now remember, this is the most powerful Mini to have ever landed in Australia, and it will remain equal so even next year when the Mini GP arrives. Now that car packs this same thumping engine and has the same outputs, but given it's a lighter, smaller hatch, it will no doubt be faster. But that's not to say this thing is any kind of a slouch in a straight line. It might tip the scales at a nudge over 1.5 tonnes, but it really gets up and goes when you plant your right foot. So engage sport mode, and you can kind of hear the burble of the bass into the cabin. Plant your right foot, and it really does bounce forward. So it'll clip 100 kilometers an hour in just under 5 seconds, in fact 4.9 seconds, which is pretty quick. But perhaps more importantly than that, it just kind of feels fast. It sounds fast. There's this lovely kind of snap and crackle on the overrun, and that burble from the bass really fills the cabin and has all the theatrics you expect from a hot hatch. Now, I know you've heard all the cliches about Minis handling like they're on rails before, and we're not going to waste your time with that here, but rest assured we have pushed this thing through some pretty tight corners at some pretty high speeds, and there was no nonsense from the tyres, no squeals or understeer, and not much in the way of body roll either. And it really can pick and stick to a line too. When you lock into a corner, it allows you to plant your foot on the way out, and it'll hold that line and just propel you into the future. It really is a lot of fun. That was the good, time for the not so good. It does feel a little bit like they've achieved that impressive handling by hardening up the suspension as much as they can, and that means it does rattle and clang over lumps and bumps in the road, and it's not the most comfortable mode of transport around. Now, there's also a kind of skittish busyness to the way it goes around corners at speed, and I actually don't mind it myself, but others might say that it lacks that kind of natural, free-flowing feel of some of its competitors. But this is the hardest, fastest Clubman you can buy, so you probably go into it knowing that there's going to be some comfort compromises along the way. And if you're looking for a loud, raughty, hot hatch experience, this does deliver in spades. And let me tell you, on the right stretch of road, it can be an absolute blast. Plenty punchy, plenty powerful, and even, by mini standards at least, pretty practical. You'll find the Clubman JCW offers plenty of bang for your bucks, provided of course you're willing to look outside the hot hatch box just a little bit. Now remember, to read the full review, head to the carsguide.com.au website and make sure you hit subscribe so you never miss a video.